This is Africa. Wars and Battles Explained. Please subscribe, like and share. It helps us reach more people. This is Episode 5, The South Sudan Civil Wars, 2013 to 2018, Recurring Unrest. In the beginning, when South Sudan gained independence in 2011, it was hailed as Africa's newest hope, a nation born from decades of bloodshed. But within just 2 years, that hope collapsed. The leaders who once fought shoulder to shoulder for freedom turned their guns on each other. What followed was one of the most brutal civil wars of the 21st century, a war that pitted friend against friend, tribe against tribe, and left entire regions in ashes. But what forces and events pushed this young nation, barely emerging into independence, towards such destructive divisions, and how did the events unfold? 1. The fragile birth of a nation. After independence from Sudan in July 2011, the Sudan People's Liberation Movement, SPLM, became the ruling party. Its top figures, President Salva a Dinka, and Vice President Riek Machar, a Nuer, were veterans of the liberation struggle, but old mistrust lingered between them. South Sudan's government was weak, its army fragmented, and corruption rampant. Regional elites began consolidating power through ethnic patronage networks, sowing tension between Dinka and Nuer communities, the two largest ethnic groups. By 2013, these tensions exploded. 2. The Spark, December 2013. On December 15, 2013, fighting erupted inside the Presidential Guard in Juba, the capital. President Kiir accused Machar of plotting a coup. Machar denied it, claiming Kiir was using the charge to eliminate his rivals. Within hours, the Presidential Guard, dominated by Kiir's Dinka soldiers, began door-to-door executions of Nuer civilians in Juba neighborhoods like Gudel and Jebel. According to Human Rights Watch, more than 500 Nuer civilians were killed in those first 3 days alone. That massacre set off a nationwide ethnic war. 3. Retaliation and widening war. As news of the Juba killing spread, Nuer militias and soldiers loyal to Riek Machar mutinied across the country. They called themselves the SPLAIO, Sudan People's Liberation Army, in opposition. In revenge, they attacked Dinka civilians in towns such as Bor, Jonglei State, Bentiu, Unity State, and Malakal, Upper Nile State. In Bor, hundreds of civilians sheltering in churches and hospitals were massacred by Nuer gunmen in late December 2013. In Bentiu, a UN investigation later found that in April 2014, rebel forces executed hundreds of Dinka, Darfur traders, and Sudanese civilians after seizing the town. Radio Bentiu FM broadcast messages urging men to kill Dinka and Darfur civilians, a chilling echo of Rwanda's 1994 genocide propaganda. 4. Villages burned and civilians targeted. Entire towns and villages were burned to the ground. In Unity State, government forces and allied Bull Nuer militias burned villages in Lear, Mayendit, Koh, and Rubkona counties between 2015 and 2016. The UN panel of experts described these as scorched earth campaigns ordered to depopulate rebel-held areas. In Upper Nile, SPLA government troops razed Malakal, Shilluk, and Baliat, targeting Shilluk and Nuer communities accused of supporting rebels. In Jonglei, SPLAIO rebels attacked Bor County and Twik East, torching villages and cattle camps. Tens of thousands were killed in these attacks, many burned alive inside huts or shot while fleeing. 5. Ethnic cleansing campaigns. The conflict took on the character of ethnic cleansing. Government troops, largely Dinka, and Dinka youth militias, Gelweng and Mathiang Enua, targeted Nuer populations, while Nuer white army militias retaliated against Dinka civilians in the Upper Nile and Jonglei states. By 2015, the African Union Commission of Inquiry concluded that both sides committed ethnic-based massacres that could amount to crimes against humanity. Entire regions were ethnically homogenized. For instance, Malakal, once a multi-ethnic city of 150,000, became almost entirely deserted. 6. Child soldiers and forced recruitment. Both sides recruited thousands of children. According to UNICEF, over 19,000 child soldiers were used between 2013 and 2018. The SPLA, government army, forcibly conscripted boys in government-held towns, often during school raids. The SPLAIO, rebels, recruited children in newer villages and refugee camps, promising revenge and protection. Children as young as 12 years old were seen carrying AK-47s in battles around Bentiu and Malakal. 7. Sexual violence as a weapon of war. Sexual violence was systematic and devastating. Government forces in Unity and Western Bahr el Ghazal states carried out mass rapes during their 2015 to 2016 offensives. The UN Human Rights Commission documented cases of women being raped, mutilated, or gang-raped in front of their families. In Lear County, at least 1,300 women and girls were assaulted over 6 months. Rebel forces also committed sexual violence against Dinka women in captured areas like Bor and Bentiu. Women abducted were often forced into bush marriages or used as porters and slaves by armed groups. 8. Humanitarian collapse. The war created one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. By 2017, over 4 million people were displaced. Famine was declared in Lear and Mayendik counties. Aid convoys were attacked, and UN camps became the last refuge for more than 200,000 civilians. The United Nations mission in South Sudan, UNMISS, Protection of Civilians, POC, sites in Juba, Bentiu, and Malakal became semi-permanent towns of the displaced, guarded by peacekeepers to prevent mass slaughter. 9. The struggle for peace. The first peace deal, the ARCSS, Agreement on the Resolution of the Conflict in South Sudan, was signed in August 2015. Machar returned to Juba in April 2016, but fighting erupted again 3 months later, killing hundreds and forcing him into exile. A revitalized peace agreement was signed in September 2018, under mediation by IGAD, with Sudan and Ethiopia as key brokers. By 2020, a unity government was formed, but local violence and militia clashes continued. 10. Regional and international response. The war did not remain confined within South Sudan's borders. It pulled in neighboring powers driven by ethnic ties, political interests, security concerns, and the struggle for regional influence. Uganda deployed troops to back Salva Kiir's government. Sudan intermittently supported peace talks to prevent conflict spillover. Ethiopia and Kenya hosted negotiations through IGAD. The United Nations Security Council imposed arms embargoes and sanctions, and the African Union called for a hybrid court for South Sudan to prosecute war crimes, though, to date, justice has not been served. 11. Aftermath and ongoing unrest. The civil war officially ended in 2018, but intercommunal violence, militia clashes, and political assassinations continue. In 2023, renewed fighting in Upper Nile and Jonglei displaced tens of thousands once again. The legacy of mistrust, corruption, and ethnic division still defines the country. Infrastructure remains destroyed, and millions depend on international aid. To summarize, the South Sudan Civil War was not just a political failure, it was a human tragedy. A war where liberation heroes became warlords, and where the world's youngest nation bled before it could walk. Yet, amid the ruins, the people of South Sudan still dream of peace, of reconciliation, and of the freedom they fought so long to claim. If you found this episode insightful, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring you more in-depth stories about Africa's wars, struggles, and resilience, told with context, truth, and detail. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss the next episode. Our next episode is on the Darfur conflict, 2003 to 2010. Join us